You know, Traverse City, Michigan, nobody actually plans for a sudden, sunny life just to really go.
Partly cloudy.
No, that didn't work. Let's do it again. Let's try one.
Yeah, sorry.
You know, Travesty, sometimes when you try to go down, I don't even like how that.
What are you doing? You're trying to start over? You can start over, man.
One more time.
Okay.
You good with that? All right.
Yeah.
You know, Travertine, it seems like if ever in life you need to go, can you actually...
Can you start over, Mitch?
I don't even know if
Do you
we
want to
can.
start over from the top? I think we can start over.
I think we are going to start over right here on OPINIONish. That's what we're talking about. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fun edition of OPINIONish. I'm Mitch English.
I'm Travis Dale.
And we have a guest in the studio who had to watch our little Laurel and Hardy.
I know.
It was actually uncomfortable after a second here. How you been, man?
Good, man. I mean, I'm excited about this show. We went to a concert over the weekend.
That was fun.
It was the Molly Ringwald's
Yeah.
House of Blues Orlando. They're this cool 80s band. They got like drummers dressed up like Cobra Kai. The other guy, the pianist, is like Freddie Mercury. They got Adam Ant, Dee Snider. And they do all these 80s covers. It was awesome.
We had to leave a little early. Liza wasn't feeling too well. But did they do any Queen? Because the dude that looked like Freddie Mercury,
His show must go on. Yeah.
Oh,
and the guy has a voice.
Right?
Yeah.
To the point where I thought they were using trying to adjust his voice because it sounded like a 14-year-old girl when he did Michael Jackson.
In a good way.
Yes.
He nailed
wonderful
the
way. Yeah.
notes, and Freddie's hard to hit.
And Michael Jackson, if you think about it,
for sure.
too,
Yeah, he did beat it.
One thing I did like about the Molly Ringwalds is their portable drum set and portable.
Dude, they're
Wasn't
drivable.
that cool? Yeah.
The keyboard and the drum sets, they were drivable, like on little wheels.
That was pretty neat. So if you ever have an opportunity, I think they're out of New Orleans, right?
I think so. Yeah,
they're based out of New
They
Orleans.
travel all around, but they're awesome.
But the Spasmatics are Orlando.
I think they're more local. I see them around town a lot, and they open for them, and they're really energetic. Do 80s covers too. They got a little to the 90s too.
They're a fun band.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking to have some fun,
Got
right?
the Devo energy.
Yeah.
So what's the forecast for the episode today?
I'm glad
Mitch?
you asked that because we got a great guest today. Today's guest actually spent nearly 3 decades building a career in broadcast meteorology, including 18 years waking up Central Florida as the morning weather anchor at WESH 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Then in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, something that people about always wanting to do and always talk about it. Well, she actually did it. She just kind of left. She's like, listen, I'm out of here. I'm 5,000. Peace. Did one of these. And today she's now an author, speaker, founder, and CEO of Social Weather. This is really cool. We're going to talk about working with companies like Carnival Cruise Line. She's also a TEDx speaker. I've seen her live.
Oh, wow.
Great. And that's basically what she talked about, is what we'll talk about here on the show. She's also host of the podcast. It's called Reinvention at Any Age. Basically, Amy has spent years forecasting what was coming next for everybody else. And then she decided, well, it's time to figure out what was coming next for her. Please welcome to OPINIONish, Amy Sweezey.
Hey,
Hello, Amy.
Thanks,
You're right
you
here the whole
guys.
time.
I was surprised.
So how many mornings did you wake up with Amy, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we did. Me and my wife were very big fans. Actually, you gave us the weather and you gave us straight.
Oh,
Unlike
that's
this
good.
guy.
No, yeah. Keep in mind, he worked with me on the Buzz, and I did the weather, and I'm sure he watched y'all as
So
well.
we're kind of competitors back in the day.
100%. But there's a fraternity, or not a fraternity, a group, I guess you could say, with weather anchors. It used to be kind of like back in the 80s, radio DJs hated the radio. I never felt that with weather
No,
anchors.
not at all.
And wherever I worked at.
Right. Yeah. We go to conferences together.
Conferences, yeah.
And meet each other and hang out and have lunch. And I always tried to do that in Orlando, was kind of keep everybody together.
Amy did this great thing. When Twisters with an S came out, she got all the meteorologists that we know, and we got together and we all got to see a special screening of Twisters.
Oh, really?
Thanks to Mitch, who was vital in helping me get that together.
Our friends at Universal set us up.
That movie rocks.
It was really cool, right? I had lots of fun doing it.
It was fun.
And you would think, what do you think people talk about, meteorologists talk about when you're there?
Clouds.
I don't think anybody talked about weather, which is nice, right?
That's the beautiful thing. We have to talk about it all the time for our jobs.
yeah.
So we're there. We're like, hey, how's the kids? How's everything? How's everything else besides the
Hot
weather?
enough for you?
I don't know. Yeah, none of that.
But you guys all have these sunny dispositions, which works perfectly for the profession. Everybody just really get along that way?
I think so. Amy was always, first off, I think female meteorologists have a harder time because they are judged on the way you look. And I said this, and I probably told you this before too. Al Roker screwed it up for every fat weatherman. So I had to lose weight, right?
Yeah.
But right, because you can be a fat weather guy, Willard Scott.
Willard Scott, yeah.
I mean, and it was okay, but
Right.
women were really scrutinized. And I don't
Right.
want to go down that road too much. And how much I think you talked about. You don't call, hey, the weather girl.
Yeah. Have you gotten that for sure?
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. My mantra is hashtag I am not a weather girl.
Yeah.
Yes, girl.
If there's no such thing as a weather boy, there shouldn't be a weather girl.
Mitch, you should
Yeah.
own that though. Weather boy.
I'll be weather boy. Yeah.
There is a weatherboy.com.
Is there really
There
already
is,
taken?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I remember also, I kind of went through that time with Al Roker and such where you had to have a hook. And there's a guy now on Fox, and he's on Fox Weather, and he's a dancer. Nick Sacer, I think his name. Do you know about him?
I don't know how.
Guy
who
can
that is.
dance amazingly. But
Yeah.
when I was working at the Buzz, he was like a local guy, and he would be doing these dances. And
Oh,
he
is
would
it
send stuff.
Kosar? K-O-S-I-R?
Yeah, that's it. I'm
yes,
sorry,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I think he's like a rapper, right? He raps the
He'll
weather
rap,
sometimes.
but he's an
Yeah.
incredible dancer.
Oh, really?
And now he's on Fox Weather.
I see a guy out in LA that incorporates song lyrics and
seen
he'll solicit people on Instagram and he'll feed it into his forecast. And it's really cool.
You have fun with that because it does get. That's the only
Get,
part
like,
people don't realize.
tedious.
That's the part of the show. Well, Amy, you should speak on this. That's the part of the show where it's not scripted.
Exactly. Yeah. So the news anchors generally, unless they're, ad-libbing rarely, most of the time they're reading a script that was written earlier in the day,
I'm
either
Ron
by
Burgundy.
them or, right. I love lamb. But with the meteorologists, we never have a script.
Wow.
So it's all just ad-lib. We make the graphics, we come up with the forecast, and then we go on TV and talk about it.
And then you're making all these really cool graphics, and you go, all right, I got 6 minutes, and then about 30 seconds before they go on, hey, we cut you down to 2.5 minutes.
Right.
I mean, and you have to. That's why it's
Or the
not
system
scripted.
crashes.
Right.
Oh, yes, that too.
All right. Well, here we are, meteorologists getting together and talking weather. So we'll move beyond that. I want people to know you, Amy. Tell us a little bit about you, your career, how you got into the business, and then eventually we're going to talk about this the T-shirt you got on.
Yes,
and
thank
how
you.
proud I am of all three of y'all for putting this together. It's really cool. Tell us about yourself.
I got into weather on accident. Most meteorologists have this amazing story like, oh, I was 7 years old and I saw a tornado tear through my town, and that's when I decided I was going to do the weather. I don't have one of those awesome origin stories. I grew up in Michigan. We had a lot of snowstorms and blizzards. I missed a lot of school because of it, but it didn't really inspire me to do weather. My original goal when I went to college was to be a journalist. I wanted to write for a newspaper. And so I did my undergrad. I started, getting internships. My senior year in college, we visited a TV station in Chicago, and I saw behind the scenes, and I was like, ooh, this is kind of cool. I never thought about TV. Maybe I should do TV. So I started looking for TV jobs, and every single boss, nope. You're too young. You sound too young. You look too young. You will never make it on TV. Forget about it. Do something behind the scenes. And that happened to me for 2 years. So after I graduated from college for 2 years, couldn't get a job, just worked part-time, worked at a law firm, just trying to pay my rent, kept doing internships, worked in some radio. And finally, I found a TV station in South Bend, Indiana that said, okay, yeah, we'll take a chance. We'll hire you part-time to do weather. And I was like, what? Okay. And they're like, do you want to do weather? Of course.
Sure,
I
yeah.
love weather.
Yeah.
I've been outside before.
Yeah, exactly. I could do that because I need that foot in the door. So thankfully they hired me. The meteorologist there trained me. He had trained under the famous Tom Skilling in Chicago.
Oh, well, yeah.
Who really did actually get 6 minutes for his weather every night, maybe 10 sometimes.
Yeah, when you own the market, yeah.
Yeah, you get all the time. So yeah, he started training me, got me enough knowledge to get on TV, and I slowly started liking it. I started hating news at the same time. Like, ooh, I have to stick a microphone in someone's face who's just, had some tragedy happen and get the soundbite of the day. Yeah. So I was starting to hate that, and I was starting to love this weather over here. And so the meteorologist I was working with said, you should go back to school. Don't just be a weather girl. Go back to school, get your meteorology training, and stick to weather. And so I did. Wow. I took his advice, and I went back to school. Got my meteorology training, and then I went from South Bend to West Michigan, where I stayed for 7 years. That's where I met my husband. And then we moved to Orlando in 2002 for the morning job. So unlike a lot of people who move around a lot, I only had 3 weather jobs.
And you know, that's interesting because in this day and age, it's usually 3 years and you're out. You move out, and you were there 18 years.
I was at WESH, yes.
WESH, how long?
At WESH for 18 years. And of those, I didn't do mornings the whole time, although I was hired to do mornings. Every time a new boss came in, I got a new schedule. People always think, well, why don't you just move to a different time if you don't like waking up at 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
We don't have that option.
Right.
Like, we go where the bosses tell us to go. You're going to be here, you're going to be with this team, and this is what you're going to do. And you either like it and love it and stay, or you leave. And so I just liked it, didn't necessarily love it, and stayed because it worked for my family. But there were a few times over the years I thought I was going to leave, and then for various reasons didn't, and ended up staying, and then didn't finally actually leave until 2020.
Yeah. And when you work mornings, you're working mornings. Like, it's pitch black. You're sleeping in shifts, you know.
It's not a job. It is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It
You
really
did that
is.
for 18 years?
18, yes. A few of those years I was on, I was on nights for 2 years, and then I was on the day shift for 3 years, again, when those bosses came in and switched me around.
Yeah.
But for the last 11 years I was there, it was mornings.
Channel 2, you know, I grew up here in Orlando, so, I mean, watch Channel 2 all the time. And Dave Marsh?
Dave Marsh.
Legend.
He was the chief when I got here.
And I think he was he the first weather? I mean, like, he was there forever too, right?
He was there 35 years maybe.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
And then now, did they had when he had left or retired? Did they put you at nights then, or was it later?
They did. When he left,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, when he left, they moved me to nights, but they did not name me chief. And then a new boss came in and wasn't fond. I mean, she told me straight up she didn't want to have a female chief meteorologist, and so I moved back and
to mornings.
she put a man in that position instead.
And
Nice.
you know, you're talking about like
Way to go.
Yeah, she
replace.
told me, so I feel like I can say it.
Like
Yikes.
Dave Marsh was a legend, and then walking into those shoes, I was like, "Way to go, Amy!" I remember when you were working
was
nights.
excited. Yeah, it was
I
cool.
was excited for you at the time too, because I was like, you know, here she paid her dues.
Didn't have to wake up at 2 a.m. anymore.
Such a
Go to
big
bed
deal.
at 6.
Big deal. Well, and now you're with us now, and talking about reinventing yourself. It sounds like just through that brief story here, you know, you had to figure out, all right, I wanted to do journalism, and so I went into meteorology. There is some reinvention there. You also had to take other skills that obviously I would imagine kind of helped you out later on in life.
Going back to school.
For
you became
sure.
a student again.
For sure. In fact, that you mentioned my TEDx talk at the beginning. That was the whole point and whole premise of my TEDx talk. I didn't realize it at the time that I was actually reinventing myself at 22
already doing it.
because I thought I was going to be a journalist, and then I ended up doing weather, which a lot of people think is the same thing, but it's really not. It's two very different careers. And so, that reinvention really did sort of, I don't know, set the stage for then my second reinvention when I left my job all those years later.
As I was telling you when we were putting this show together, I had the theme of starting over. And then I just realized reinventing, first off, it sounds better, but it's also, when you hear starting over, it seems like you just get rid of everything and you're starting from scratch. But that's not the case when you reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
You're using the skills that you've already learned in a different manner.
It's more of a level up.
Level up, yeah. Okay.
Yes. And that's one of the things I've learned by my podcast, which has come out of that TEDx talk. Now I interview people who have reinvented themselves in various ways. And that, I think, is the biggest thing that I have taken away from all of them, is that they never just completely start over. They go back to the toolbox and they find the tools they have in the toolbox and the other skill sets that they have. And they're like, how can I just reapply these in a new way that makes me happy, that makes me feel refreshed, that sort of reinvents me without completely starting over?
You started over at the pandemic. A lot of people started working from home. That was everything changed. Television changed there. Nothing really, as far as your career goes. You made that decision. I mean, you had the job, you had the career, and you had the reputation, you had the security. That had to be scary. I'm sorry.
It was probably,
because life was, on paper, everything probably felt great. It's good. Tell us more about the anxiety. I imagine there was a lot. I mean, what said, you know what? No, I'm doing this. What took you over the edge?
It definitely was not a wake up in the morning or a one aha moment. For me, it was a process. And like I said, there were several times over the years where I thought about leaving. I explored other jobs. I explored moving to other locations. But my husband and I love Orlando. This is our home. We want to be in Central Florida. Our kids were all born here. They all were in school. And so I just decided at those various times, okay, this isn't the time for me to leave. I need to stay. I may not be happy. I may be tired all the time, but it works for everybody else in my family. So that's what we did. But as we got closer to 2020, it was starting to become, my kids were getting older and I was missing so much, either in bed or just exhausted. You know, their activities were all in the evening, their dance competitions, their basketball games, their volleyball games. I was missing a lot of that stuff. And you know, that was a huge draw. But also, you know, my husband and I, we really took about 2 years to figure things out, because it sounds really great, quit your job.
Yes.
But on paper, hold on, we still got to pay our bills.
Right.
We still have 3 kids in school. We still have 3 kids that, you know, might go to college someday. How are we going to do this? So there was a lot of, you know, financial conversations, budget conversations. How can we do this? What can we cut out? You know, I tell people now I drive a car that has 314,000 miles on it
Wow.
because I didn't want a car payment, because I chose to, you know, take that pay cut and put that money elsewhere.
Yeah.
But so it does take some sacrifice, and therefore it was very scary. It was very scary.
And this happened during 2020.
Yes.
So COVID gave us a lot of time to reassess. It gave us some time at home. And I mean, there's drawbacks to both of it. Obviously, it's terrifying, you know, terrible pandemic. But do you think you would have made this switch as soon as you did if COVID never happened?
Yes. Only because the only reason I know this is because I had already told them in January that I was not going to renew my contract, which was up in April.
Okay.
So my plan was to leave. And then, of course, COVID kind of happened in March.
Yeah.
I was supposed to leave in April, but I ended up actually extending for another month into May.
Really?
Because they asked me to stay longer because they knew they wouldn't be able to hire anybody.
Right.
Yeah,
Nobody
you're
could
right.
come for an
That's
interview.
right.
I mean, remember those days of COVID? Nobody was traveling. No one was going anywhere. You couldn't cross
Yeah.
state lines. It was crazy. And so, so I do. The only reason I know that is because I already had made the decision before COVID happened.
Were you doing forecasts from home, or were you going to the studio and doing this?
I was still in the studio, but we were,
All the protocols and everything were in place.
yes, only one at a time. So
Yeah.
we wouldn't cross paths or anything. We sprayed everything down, and, you know,
Isn't it so weird just to hear you
So
say that out loud?
It's so far
And
away
then
now, you
that-
kind of forget what we had to do.
yeah.
I don't want to go political. but God, the grocery store thing where you couldn't go down the aisle the same way drove me. I didn't.
Oh, I forgot
never.
about that.
I
That's why
never.
I forgot about that.
You know what I do miss, though? That whole 10-foot rule or 6-foot rule.
Yeah.
I like it when
There
people are
is
not in
something-
my
Give some
space.
space.
I'm
yeah.
a little with you on that. Amy, did you ever feel guilty that you wanted something different when, at least from the outside, looked like you had everything going for you? Did that guilt ever come along? It's like, man, it's holding me back, or
No, not in that way. I think there was some guilt about, you know, giving up the money, giving up the position, because I was unhappy, just like when it came to my family. You know, I didn't really think about other people. I wasn't really thinking about the viewers or anything, because I knew I needed to do what worked for me. But I didn't want my kids to have to sacrifice because of some whim that I have, which is why we took so long in making the decision.
And I'm sure you consulted with your family, obviously. What were some of their first reactions to you letting them know, like, hey, I'm going to be doing this? Were they excitement, or were they like, are you crazy?
I don't think my kids care one way or the other. Because even to this day, I'm like, hey, did you see my podcast? And, no.
I totally get you. Yeah, I have
Man,
teenagers.
if I'm not on TikTok, they don't care.
my radio show's on out in Oklahoma. I can't get my kids. I don't listen to country music, Dad. I'm like, just you can listen in the morning.
Just support me, please.
That's all I want. And my
Just
TV
need
show's
some
on.
listeners. Yeah, need some more likes and shares. Come on.
So let me ask you, who are you without that title? I mean, for years you were Amy Sweezey from WESH, you know, and then that was kind of moved away, it disappeared. Who were you after that point?
That's a great question. And I think it's an important one for people to ask themselves, and that I asked myself many times, because I knew all of those times that I thought about quitting but never did, I wasn't ready to give it up. I wasn't ready to give up that identity. And I knew that when the point came that I did leave my job, I had to be willing and ready to give up that identity. I needed to just be Amy and not Amy Sweezey, meteorologist.
Right.
I mean, I still am that person, and I still do that in my new jobs that I have now, my new ventures. But I'm not the person on full-time TV weather anymore, and that's okay with me, because that was just one part of my life, and you have to kind of get to that place, I think.
And if you're in media, that's a different aspect where a lot of people, if you're not in media, don't really understand it, because you mentioned a lot about the viewers, and you're talking to those on your podcast about how they reinvented themselves. Does that same feeling kind of go through in their professions? I imagine you've talked to all different types of professions. Do they feel the same way? Meaning like,
Yes.
hey, this has going to be different for them.
I think so. Yeah. Yes, finding a new identity, figuring out that your identity isn't or maybe shouldn't be tied to your job. Your identity needs to be who you are, and those skills, remember those tools in your toolbox, all of those things that can apply to who you are, and then just whatever job you do. So I think getting past that whole that you are your job is really important.
Yeah, that's a good point. What's harder for you to actually give up? Would it be the paycheck, the routine, or maybe just your identity? Which one of the three would be the hardest?
Not the routine. I'm thrilled to say goodbye routine. Yes, that's fantastic. Probably the identity and the money, both. I mean, a lot of people think that you make so much money in TV because they see the Katie Courics and the people on the Today Show and the Al Rokers, and that those people do actually make $1 million. But I'm sorry, in little old Orlando, we don't make $1 million. No. Right. So that's just not how it works. We do buy our own clothes, we do our own makeup, and so when all those people are complaining about your ugly clothes or whatever, that's on me. I take it personally because I picked this outfit out, and I'm probably regretting it just as much as you.
You dress great. I always loved your, and I'm not just saying it.
I was pulled into the office more than once because of my clothes or my outfit.
Oh, really?
Some viewer complained.
And not one man probably ever was brought in. Never. No. I mean, I understand that truly about that. All we had to worry about is a tie.
Dress coded as an adult. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It was a guy. Matter of fact, there was an anchor. It was him and a woman, and he wore the same suit for 1 year straight and only changed the ties. And then after that, he said, do you remember the story?
Yes, I remember.
To prove a point. He's like,
nobody noticed.
Nobody ever noticed. I wore and you guys complained. I thought that was a good thing to do. And you learn that when you have a TV wife, TV husband, that sort of thing.
I think maybe she even wore the same dress maybe just a week in a row or maybe 2 days in a row.
And people are going to say
it went crazy.
So much backlash.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. So we kind of alluded to this at the beginning. We say starting over, but you didn't really throw away 25 years of broadcasting experience when you left television. I mean, it was a setup, I would imagine, as well, right?
Yeah, and one of the things I did when I first left, obviously not knowing that COVID was going to happen, was I had this whole list of things that I could do, things I wanted to do, things I did not want to do, and I'm a big list person.
You wanted that face tattoo. I know it was a big deal.
Finally.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Get away with it. Little teardrop.
Yeah, the teardrop.
She earned it.
I did.
Early morning, absolutely.
No, I forgot what I was going to say. What were we talking about?
We do that a lot.
Your checklist.
My to-do list. Yeah, so I'm making these lists of all the things I can do. And I had a whole list of, not just plans, but like I had talked to people. I was going to speak. I was going to go to schools. I have some children's weather books that I've written.
Which we'll
so I was going to go be an author, do author visits at schools. I had all these things, but everything on my list that was going to pay me is now suddenly in person, which is suddenly no longer allowed after COVID.
I didn't think about that. That's
right. Now what am I going to do? So I thought I had this great plan, and then I had to kind of pivot. But I ended up going to right away. I ended up going to work with Growing Bolder. And this is a fantastic company. It was started by Mark Middleton, who was one of my co-anchors. When I first got to WESH, he was my morning news anchor. He left in 2006 to start Growing Bolder. And it is a media movement. It's growingbolder.com. They have social media. They do speaking. He's written a book. It's this whole idea that instead of us all growing older, we're really growing bolder.
Love it.
And he was such my inspiration, that whole book, that whole mentality of, hold on, you're never too old. It's never too late to reinvent yourself, to start over. And that's why my talk was called Reinvention at Any Age, because I reinvented myself in my 20s, but I could also reinvent myself on the cusp of 50 and no problem.
So Mark planted the seeds?
Yes, and he also hired me to come work for him. So I was going to, I thought, work on their TV show because they were doing a TV show on PBS at the time. And unfortunately, my TV contract that says I can't, non-compete. They considered that to be competition, which was a little weird because it's not really a broadcast show.
And you're not doing the same. You're not doing weather.
But sadly, they held me to my no compete, and my lawyer said you can fight it, but I knew lawyers are expensive, and they knew that. They knew I wasn't going to. So I didn't fight it, but thankfully, Growing Bolder let me work behind the scenes.
Even
for a year.
Giving them an extra month. See, that's what happens. They don't care. These big corporations. Was there anything that you had to unlearn?
That's a great question. I need to think about that. I'm sure I'm sure I picked up all kinds of bad
Because you
habits.
have routines established over years of doing the same thing, like going to bed at a certain time. Your clock, I'm sure, shifted when you left the newsroom.
That's true. You know, one of the jobs that I have now, I work for a company. So I have like 10 different, I call them jobs, but clients' jobs. That I do. And one of them is for CNTV, which is convention news television. And so we go to various conventions and I'll act as a reporter back to that news thing, and interview people. Why are you here? And what's your product that you're displaying? Okay. Or I'll be like the news anchor and I'll sit and interview people, tell me about whatever it is. It could be a convention about anything.
Oh, nice.
And I think one of the biggest things doing that is I'm here working for the client. So there's no like two sides to the story. Like in news, it's this side and that side, and you have, it used to be, at least me coming up in journalism, right? It's this side, and you have no opinion.
Right.
Of course, that's changed a lot nowadays. But with CNTV, OPINIONish. Now I get that's what I had to unlearn, that I can actually have an opinion now. I'm allowed to have an opinion.
Oh, yeah. So you can cuss like a sailor now. If you want to.
Let her rip.
So it sounds like it's more like more of a level up than a restart. And I would imagine you just get even more bonus points when you have these guests on your show, much like I'm doing right now here in your story, and really kind of building on and spreading that gospel. So let's talk more about your podcast and the Reinvention at Any Age. Really, at some point, it does kind of doing the math all together of just starting over doesn't make sense to people, and they have to be scared. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I guess I would disagree, but I think there is something to that because I think some people are forced to reinvent themselves. When you're fired, you lose your job, you're downsized, AI takes over, or even on a personal level, if you are, divorced, whether it's your idea or not, if you're a widow and your spouse, one of the guests I had was a woman whose husband died of cancer in his 30s and left her with 2 little boys, like 3 and 5 years old. And now suddenly she's forced to reinvent herself as a single mom and a widow. So those kinds of things too, you don't always get to choose.
Life makes the decision for you.
Right. And so what are you going to do with that? And how do you reinvent yourself when you don't have a choice?
Tony Robbins, as you said that, it came to my mind. He had the way that you're successful is inspiration or desperation.
Yes.
And and either way it's fine. It doesn't matter which way. It's just that you need to know what's driving you and that sort of thing. So I would imagine hearing that story like that, there could be 2 ways you can do it. You say, I give up and I'll just be on welfare or whatever, or I'm going to show my kids, think life is hard. And you never know until you're on the other side of it.
Right.
That's why.
Right.
And I bring up that fear because I think there has to be some kind of fear. That's saying everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be uncomfortable. You have to be uncomfortable. That's the only way you grow. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Yes, I was scared to death. And I think, I had been in TV long enough that I had seen so many women get older and get pushed out. Whether they were actually fired or they were just put on a worse schedule, they were given terrible hours. Like it was clear that they wanted them to leave. So I just, in the back of my mind, when you get into TV and you're a female and you have any brains at all, you know that you need to have a plan B because this is not going to last forever. There are not a lot of 60-year-old news anchors that are women. There's all kinds of 60-year-old men, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think that it's just unfair, and it's a society thing. It's not just a news business thing. But so I think that little bit of fear in the back of my brain, you don't have it as much when you're 20 or 30, but suddenly as you're 40 and 50 and you start getting closer to 60, you're like, okay, I really need to think about my plan B. Do I want to wait until I'm pushed out like all these other women, or do I want to leave now when I'm in my so-called prime and, figure things out before I get to that place?
You mentioned too, when you're younger, we're very comfortable saying to a 25-year-old, listen, you got your whole life ahead of you, right? But somewhere along the way, we don't believe that anymore.
Right.
And it is, I can understand why, because you're like, man, I'm coming, those things, at least in media, there is a shelf life for people. Yeah. But I think that not all career. That's why you need to change careers. If there's a shelf life, then you need to figure out what you're going to do afterwards.
I feel like the internet loves me more at this age than the television camera. Yeah. Right? Because everybody's on YouTube. Right. All these really ugly people are on YouTube, and it's fine.
But that's a total power move. You making this choice for yourself before they did, before they pushed you out. Did that cost you anything though? I mean, is there anything that you miss
good question.
from being in television? Not just financially, but
Yeah, certainly financially and it's not so much the amount of money, it's just the regular money. Because when you're self-employed, when you're an entrepreneur, like it is not an easy task. It's feast or famine. Some months you've got so many clients you can't keep up, and some months you're like, oh man, am I going to be able to make my mortgage? Like, that's the beauty and the detriment of being self-employed and having your own business. So yeah, I had to give up the security of the regular paycheck. I gave up health insurance. My husband is also self-employed, so we have to pay out of pocket for insurance, and that is killer.
yeah.
Those are probably the big things.
What about? I mean, you don't seem egotistical at all, but like, do you miss being on television,
Everyone knows
or were
who I
you?
am.
Yeah, were you able to bring your audience with you to your new project?
Yeah, there's free fries when you went to the burger joint.
You know what? Right? Exactly. Thankfully, in the day and age of social media, yes, I brought a lot of my following with me because they were able to connect with me. But the people who didn't have social media back in the day, people would always just like, oh, whatever happened to Dave Marsh? Whatever happened to Dave Marsh? Because they have no way of keeping in touch with him.
True.
But yeah, I feel like I was able to, because of Facebook and all the other social medias, Instagram and now YouTube.
Are your relationships with your followers, is it different from Amy Sweezey of WESH to who you are now? I mean, the interactions are different because you're maybe more personable, or you can having your opinion now. You can be more yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have such a hard time offering up my opinion.
Okay.
And I think it's because of the years of television drained into my brain and all of the journalism of you just aren't allowed to have an opinion.
Unbiased,
So yeah, my closest personal friends know who I vote, but most people have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm a registered independent, and for a reason, because I just...
That's smart.
I'm not going to swear on the radio. I'm not going to swear. I might to my closest friends, but I'm not going to do that. And so maybe there is still that persona of, oh, I don't want people to think less of Amy Sweezey, the TV meteorologist. I want to make sure.
Are you still a little bit more buttoned up on your social posts and stuff?
I read them and reread them and think, how can I offend someone? What do I need to change so that somebody doesn't, like if I post, here's a great example. You post a picture when you're driving or when you're on the road and you have to make sure the picture is clear that you are in the passenger seat, not driving, because everyone, nice way to drive. You're being, dangerous. And then I don't want to have to answer everybody. Or I'll put it in the post that says, I was the passenger.
Yeah, or you make sure your seatbelt's on. And
make sure those things are clear because everybody's
Put
got
the fear
an
away.
opinion.
Is this the point where you promote your OnlyFans page?
I could never do it. I know people are like, you could just put pictures of your feet on there. I'm like,
dude,
make a lot.
I
Isn't that
feel
weird?
like it should be this podcast. We should really
He
pivot.
keeps saying that because
us
he's
your feet.
flat-footed. He
I
really wants to
have
show us.
really flat feet, and my kids
Flintstone.
tell me I can make a killing online. I should probably just do it
I think you should.
anonymously. Yeah.
There was one time back in the day
cash.
before email that I got a letter typed in the mail, a fan letter, that said in all caps, I will pay you $50 for a pair of your well-worn shoes.
You should just sweeten the deal a little bit.
Not signed, no return address. So I'm like, how am I supposed to even get the shoes to you? I'll take your $50.
I'll give it to you. I would have done it like
I was
that.
gonna ask, did you get creepy stuff, like creepy fan stuff?
Yeah, I got more. I hate you. You're awful. Your clothes are ugly. Your earrings
Oh my
are
gosh.
terrible. Go back to 1962 with that ugly shirt. I got more of that than, other things. But mostly because I don't ask for it. Like I feel like there are a lot of TV people women especially, who post provocative pictures
Nowadays, sure.
and then they're just kind of asking for that. I don't do that. If I post a picture of myself, I'm fully clothed. I'm never in my bathing suit at the beach, and my kids are fully clothed, and I don't say their names, so I still do some kind of protective sort of things.
And that actually, I would imagine, helps you. I mean, because you're going to be now in your new career, you're in different environments, and so you're protecting your image constantly. And you don't know, you might be being out in public would be a different thing.
And because I do have clients now that look me up on social media, and they look up on LinkedIn, and they want to know who they're working with and who they're hiring. So so I think that's probably one of the best lessons that TV gave me. Was just protecting that public image.
What's one thing that now that would have really given you a better start of actually, what's something that you've learned now that you wish you would have known then about starting over that you've now picked up
Like in my 20s, you mean?
Yeah,
or
like
even in
if
2020?
you could talk to your 25-year-old
Oh,
self.
gosh. I mean, I would definitely tell myself to stick with it because, little did I know when I kept being told no, 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 that I actually would finally get a yes and it would lead to this amazing career. I think I would also tell myself to, go easy on the definition of the word success. I had gone to college in Chicago for my undergrad and I wanted to get back there. I wanted to be in Chicago and working on TV, of course, first as a news anchor, but then later I wanted to go back to do weather. And then as things happened and I end up in Orlando, I'm like, I would never want to go back there now. You have to remember that success, you can change the definition of success, And so to me, being successful here is having this happy, healthy family, being in a place that I want to be, involved in the community, and great weather most of the time. Not right today, but most of the time we have fantastic weather.
And I think Facebook feeds into that because we look at Facebook and you only show what's good on Facebook, and so then that kind of sets the mode. And like, well, my goal is to have this and not have that and that sort of thing. Your checklist, it sounds like, was having a solid family, being there for your family, and being in a place where you want your family to be as well. So I wouldn't know that. So that's my version of success would be different than yours with those check marks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you mentioned that your COVID to-do list got sidelined a little bit. How's it looking today? You are an author now, right?
Yes, so much better. Now, like I said, I have 10 jobs, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I am an author. Now, my 2 children's books, one fiction, one nonfiction, I wrote before COVID. That was in 2015 and 2017. Okay. My fiction book, It Never Ever Snows in Florida.
Yes.
Which, yes, I know. That's the first thing I get on social media. Yes, it does. It snowed in 1976. I'm like, yeah, I know. Read the book. Read all about it. Anyways, and then I have a nonfiction book, Let's Talk Weather, TV forecasting behind the scenes. So that's 3rd through 5th graders.
And that's kind of giving them an idea of
cold fronts, warm fronts. I talk in front of a green screen. We have no script. So it's just kind of a little behind the scenes weather book for kids through 3rd through 5th grade.
Well, I want to go back to the title of your book. It Never Ever Snows in Florida, and people say, "Yeah, it could."
It does,
and then you think, "Well, that could never happen," because you think, "I'm never." Listen, I'm Amy Sweezey. I'm in here on WESH. I can never leave.
Right?
Why would I ever want to do that?
Yeah, I can't start over.
Right.
Yeah.
But
never say never.
But people can actually do those sort of things. It's just the fear that they might have.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people were shocked. I think the bosses were mostly shocked because I had threatened to leave before, because that's what you do when your contract comes up every couple years.
Negotiate.
You look what else is out there and you negotiate and you're like, yeah, I might do this, I might do that. And so I had even more than threatened. I was really at one point really planning on leaving, and then I ended up staying. So I think they thought I would stay again. But once your mind is made up.
It's something that you think about being an author. Obviously, with journalism, you're able to write and that sort of thing. Do you think that adults actually kind of lose their ability to experiment because we think everything has to happen immediately, or we have to get those immediate results?
Maybe. And, my children's books are a great example. The second one, Let's Talk Weather, that took me 20 years to write. Yeah. Because it came out of my school visits that I would always do. I'd go visit schools and talk about weather, mostly to 3rd through 5th graders. And so every time, I'd go to a school talk, I'd kind of write down some of the points and some of the little things and some of the questions that I had. And so it was all of those notes from 20 years that I put together to finally put that book together. And I had said for 20 years, I'm going to write a book someday. I'm going to write a book someday. Yeah. But at some point you have to say, okay, I got to stop talking about it and I have to actually start doing it.
Why can't we be bad at something? Yeah. Why do we think we have to be the best? Because did you have to go through that? Meaning, look, obviously you're a fantastic meteorologist.
But I wasn't always. I was bad.
But you started, you were at the pivotal, or the paramount actually, of where you wanted to be. And then you have to start something new that you probably sucked at, right?
Right.
Why can't we accept that as humans? What do you think? Your thoughts on that?
It comes down to failure, right? And it comes down to everybody watching us on Facebook, because I have to keep up with all my friends out there that I see are all their lives are
Comparing
perfect, right? Because they don't post when they fail, or the people that do are the ones who only post when they fail, and so you're like, oh, you're such a complainer.
We should start Failbook. That should be a website.
Fail
we just post
all
our
your failures.
Yeah.
Well, and
the biggest fail.
I tell people that if you go into every boardroom of Fortune 500 companies, and you look at them, every one of them probably had a failed business.
Oh, for sure.
You have to have that failure, right? Would you mind sharing? Was there something that you wanted to try afterwards that you go, yeah, this ain't going to work? I know the jazzercise. Look, it's never coming back. It's never going to.
I will never sing or dance. Let me just make that perfectly clear.
Was there anything that you feel comfortable sharing with that, you know what, I failed at doing this, and I'm glad I failed at it?
You know, I've tried a lot of things. I'm not like my husband, who is like, he tries everything, right? You know, just like, yeah, give it a try and see. Like, I really put thought into things first. I'm very conservative and I'm very careful and, you know, planner. I'm a planner. But I did an Etsy shop. I actually have 2 Etsy shops because I thought, well, why not? All these other people are selling stuff and doing Etsy shops. Well, I thought it would be a brilliant idea to create a Etsy shop about weather stuff, right? And just put, you know, hashtag not a weather girl on a shirt and on a coffee mug that says,
or weather boy.
I watch the weather, weather boy.
I'd buy a weather boy shirt.
Right? But then, you know, I spent hours and hours and hours creating logos and designs and putting it all together and this print on demand stuff. And I just spent so much time. And I think I've sold like 5 things in a year.
Yeah.
So is that a failure? I don't know, but I sure learned a lot. I learned about creating graphics. I learned now about some of the graphics that I'm now creating for my Florida Weather Authority team with the graphics that we're doing. So I think even though maybe the overall project failed, I still learned so much.
That's a success.
I probably I set you up for that because I already knew the answer, is the fact that if you're trying something new, that's not a failure, that you've done something new. Steve Martin in his book, Born Standing Up, had said, everything you learn in any trick, anything you learn throughout your life, you're going to use it again. And he was talking about when he worked at Knott's Berry Farm, he learned how to do the rope stuff. You know? And then he wound up using that in The Three Amigos. Yeah. Like, you know, and so and use that as an example. And when I had read that, I was like, you know what? Yeah. So why not try these new things? And so you're not failing. You're just learning a new thing. It's what's it going to do? You're taking up more brain space. And why are people so afraid of that, though? You know, I mean, because you don't want to look bad, I guess, right?
I think that's probably part of it. It probably is, you know, different for everybody, but also the security of, you know, having that paycheck. It's scary to give that up and not know. People, you know, my mom always said, never quit your job until you have another job lined up. Yeah, so usually, I did not follow that advice when I did this. Well, I thought I had a bunch of jobs lined up, and then, you know, COVID. So yeah, but I agree. I do think that we need to get past our fear of failure and start looking at failure in a whole new light and just look at it as I'm learning something new. Okay, so your kids, obviously, you want them to look at you as a beacon, you know, of like, you know, what they need to do. They had to have get a little bit of the residual of moms on TV. I say, for example,
like the perks,
and
that.
You know, how did they accept that you're like, I'm out of TV? Did they like, hey, this is going to affect my social? Or do they? But no, you kind of led it earlier saying they don't even watch.
They don't even
you're
watch.
Like my kids. Okay.
They don't care. In fact, I think, well, in my kids went to very small private school when they were little, so I think that shielded them from a lot of that. They didn't have like everybody there just knew us as us, you know, not really the TV thing. But when my kids switched to public school later and they started getting older, I remember, especially my youngest, when she came home from school and was like, Mom, somebody at school today said they know who you are. She was like in 9th grade. And I'm like, what do you mean? And like, they used to watch you on TV. His mom used to watch you on TV. And so she was just like, she couldn't believe that. And I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing.
It was, because they have no clue.
No.
It's just like when you ask somebody, what was it like growing up in Orlando? Well, I don't know. I never lived anywhere else. So, right? You know what I'm saying? So that was their normal.
It was just their life. Yeah.
So, but about what age were they when you decided to walk away from television?
2020.
In 2020. So my son, who's in the middle, he was in 8th grade. So 10th, 8th, and 6th.
Did they think you were crazy? The 8th grader? He was like, Mom, what?
Oh, he's a boy, so you know, he's oblivious to all things. But
were they worried about you? I mean, did you meet as a family and say, listen, this is what we're doing?
I don't think, I mean, yes, they knew what we were doing, but I think, you know, my husband and I always try to shield them from like the big, COVID was hard enough on kids, right? And, you know, they didn't get to finish their school and transitioning and learning. And so things were so tough that we didn't want to freak them out in any way. So we didn't really say things like, you know, oh, we're not going to be able to do this anymore. But I will say, the year I quit my job, And right after COVID, that was when we made the decision to switch to public school. Because guess what? We don't have the money for private school.
Right. Yeah.
So that
Makes
was a
sense.
family conversation.
Yeah.
So that was happening already before, so that I knew that, okay, they know that we're switching. And so this is going to be okay.
Were they cool with that?
They were. That we made it their decision, which is why I waited a little longer to make sure it was their decision before we switched.
So they started over too.
Yes,
Everybody.
They
It's a
really
family
did.
affair.
Yeah, they did.
Everyone started over.
And they imagine looking at you and it's like, when it's unfortunate sometimes when they get older is when they realize, wow, that was a bigger deal than I
hope
realized.
someday, right?
They
I hope
will.
someday they
The
say
best,
that.
Yeah.
Amy, I don't know if you've experienced this yet, but the best thing you'll ever get as a dad when your oldest son goes, Dad, you were right about this. I go, what?
I know.
I was right? Especially when you have to deal with teenagers.
I'm
right?
waiting for that day.
So your talk, TEDx talk, I was able to watch you do it and put it together live, and it was a great experience for me because it's something you kind of gave me a little mentorship because this is something I want to do as well because I feel like everybody has a message. What point did you realize? Go ahead.
How did you get involved with that?
Yeah.
Oh, TEDx.
Yeah.
I also had a friend who did a TEDx talk.
Was it
and
Jana?
Jana
Jana,
Shelfer,
love her,
yes,
yeah.
Jana Banana, and also Cecily Wilson. She's a former news anchor from Channel 6 who had a stroke on the air. While she was on the air, she had a stroke.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
Then she couldn't talk, and her whole life is talking. So she really had to reinvent herself. And I worked with Cecily over at Growing Bolder a little bit as well. And then so Cecily and Jana did TEDx talks the same year. And so because they were both on the stage, I went. And as I was watching them, I was like, oh man, I want to do this. That bug of like, and then I'm like, but what's my story? So I had to figure out what my one big idea
That's
was
hard.
first.
It's really-
Yeah.
Or when did you realize, hey, this isn't my story? Like this happens a lot. When did you realize that?
Oh, I think that was gradual as well. But doing the TEDx talk and then getting so much feedback after it of people, and even doing the research on that talk too, realizing that, oh, wait, this isn't just about jobs. It's not just about careers. It can be personal stuff, family stuff. You can reinvent yourself in many ways. It could even just be a hobby too. You're bored with your hobby, so you start a new, let's start painting instead of doing sculptures or whatever.
Now you've become that reinventing expert. Do you get a lot of people coming up to you and sharing their stories?
A lot of people want to be on the podcast, which is great because,
Oh, 100%.
that's, what a terrible problem to have.
You like that? Is there anyone who actually shouldn't reinvent, do you think? Is there anybody out there that says, listen, you're doing fine?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, if you don't want to and you feel content in your life, that's great. But I think anybody at any age, any gender, any area of life, whether it's personal or professional, I think if you want to reinvent yourself, you can do it.
And is there one story that you've heard that really is kind of like, man, this really motivated me? This it was maybe like a little spark in your after television career that they shared with you?
Oh, I've had so many great guests and so many friends that have, shared their reinvention stories. They're all very different. One of my friends, one story is cool because it reconnected me to someone I had graduated with from high school and hadn't talked to her in 30 years. And then all of a sudden, because I saw her post something on Facebook, she literally died. She was working in this big Fortune 200 company. She was at a client meeting. She fell on the floor and her heart stopped. Oh, no. She had this heart condition or virus that she didn't know about. And she went to the hospital. They brought her back. And the doctors basically said, you need to quit your job. You need to completely change your lifestyle because you have to keep your heart at this rate or else you will die.
Wow.
And so she was like, okay, now what do I do?
Holy cow.
So she took up painting. She ended up traveling around all 50 states and painting in every state. She took a Sprinter van all by herself, all around the entire country. And then she took a teaching job at a university. Now she's written a book. So she's just done all these amazing things. But she's also, now we've reconnected as friends. And this never would have happened if her life was just going on as normal.
Wow.
Is there a common thread outside, of course, starting over, that you hear in every story that kind of pops out to you?
I think a lot of people will just say, don't be scared, just do it. Or do it scared.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You can't not be scared.
Yeah.
Love Lawrence, who owns the first black owned wine bar in Orange City, Florida. I was going to make sure I got that right. Amour Divin. That's one of the things that she told me when she guested. She was an insurance agent for 10 years, and she quit to open this wine bar. And, it was tough. She had days where she would open and nobody would come in at all. And she's like, what am I going to do?
She's surrounded by wine.
I know, right? Not that big of a problem.
Drink the inventory, yeah.
But I remember her saying to me, do it scared. She said, I was scared to death to leave my job, but I did it, and I did it scared.
That's great advice.
That's
Just
your
own it.
Etsy shop t-shirt.
Lean into it.
Right, do it scared.
Yeah.
I like that.
Speaking of shirts, tell us about Florida Weather Authority.
Yes,
Who are
thank
these
you.
guys?
This is my
Next.
shirt. So Florida Weather Authority, this is an idea that, again, came about for many years. Tom Sorrells, who was the chief meteorologist at the CB station here in Orlando, and then Rob Eicher, who also worked at 13, 35, and 6 in Orlando, also worked at other TV stations around the country.
Spectrum, too.
And Spectrum, yes, 13. And he is a professor at Embry-Riddle now. So he reinvented himself from television and went to be a meteorology professor at a college, which was brilliant. And
He
so
got
we
his
were
doctorate, too,
Yeah,
didn't he?
and he got his doctorate. So we were all super jealous of him to get out of the rat race of TV. And so the three of us have been friends for years. We hang out. We know each other's families. We have so much fun. And we've been chatting about, hey, we should do this. We should do this. We should. And when I first left my job, my full-time job, of course, this was the first thing I thought of. Oh, I'm going to do like Mitch does. I'm going to do online, and I'm going to, I'm going to get a show, and I'm going to do, and I'm like, that is too much work all by myself. I can't do that by myself. So I'm like, let's put that on the back burner and do some things I can do by myself first. And now that Tom retired 2 years ago, and so the three of us got to talking and thought, you know what? There's not a lot of credible sources online that are just digital, that are not on TV. We don't have all the rules of TV. We're not stuck to, you must be on at 5 o'clock. You must be on at 6 o'clock. Right. You must talk about this. You must wear this. I can wear this t-shirt. I can be on the computer. I can put up my graphics and just explain things to people. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think
Reinventing how weather is delivered.
I have to tell you,
Yes.
much like how the cell phone has changed where we get our information from, Amy and I were discussing this before. Everybody goes, well, I just want to know what the temperature is. I can look at my phone. Well, whenever there's a hurricane, tornado, severe weather, you still need experts to be able to explain that. What sets the Florida Weather Authority, how does that, this social weather, how does that change? Or how's that different rather from somebody else? Sell it to me.
From watching TV.
Yeah.
Well, I think first of all, the three of us are all dual certified meteorologists. So
And dual certified means National Weather Association and American Meteorological Society?
yes, the AMS and the NWA. So we
Okay.
both have our seals and our credentials from those organizations, which basically just means that we've done the schooling, we've got the experience, we've passed their tests, and so we have these
I
designations.
love NWA.
It's a totally
Easy.
different.
Yeah,
no.
different
Totally
NWA.
different one.
Snoop was before Snoop.
It's not the same.
It is
National
not
Weather
the same.
Association.
Yes, but we do get that a lot, let me tell you. That's why our website has to be different. Yeah. Anyway, so the three of us are dual certified. We're all, we've all been in Orlando more than 20 years, or in Florida, living in Florida, forecasting in Florida. So we understand tropical weather. And all three of us are not hype sort of people.
Yeah.
I got in a lot of trouble over the years, not just here, but at other stations in the past. I would get in a lot of trouble for downplaying things because if I didn't think that a storm was really going to be a big deal, I wouldn't make a big deal out of it. And I had some managers and some people who weren't thrilled with that.
Yeah, well, you want viewers.
They want
and so
sensationalized weather news.
you
Yeah,
get it.
and weather can always lead. And
Yeah.
I'll never forget, I went into a morning, so in TV you have this morning news meeting where everybody meets in the meeting, right? And they all have to give their story pitch for the day, all the reporters. And the weather person would always come in and give just sort of like the highlight. Here's the highlight. Yeah. And so I came into the meeting. I was new in Central Florida, so I was young. And I said, well, not much going on today, just, hot, a few storms.
Yeah.
And the boss, in front of everybody, looked at me and said, not much going on today. Then what do we need you for? And I was so embarrassed. And I get embarrassed so easily. And I almost cried. I couldn't believe it. But boy, did that make a good point to me. There is always a weather story, right? And so my job is to not say what your phone app says. Oh, it's sunny and 75 or sunny and 95 and 40% chance of storms. My job is to figure out what is today's weather story, what's different. Today is the storms are going to be set up inland instead of at the beach. Today's going to be, sorry, I talk with my hands. Microphone's
It's
up
a
here
thing.
getting my way, sorry.
I totally get it.
So my job is to figure out what the weather story is for that day and tell it. And so I think that's what all three of us bring to the table.
Yeah.
We're about telling the story, not just about spewing out facts. And we're not going to tell you that we're all going to die if we're not all going to die.
Okay.
But if something bad is going to happen, we are going to let you know.
Newsflash: we all are going to die
Eventually.
at some
Yes.
point. So that's not news.
That is true. But hopefully not from today's heat.
No, not from the
Or
weather.
tomorrow's hurricane.
So what people need to do now is to bookmark these pages, start following them now, because there will be severe weather coming through, and I would imagine that's when you guys are going full force and you be able to have a source, that people can go to. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Yes.
Trust.
Cable might go out. At least you might have that on your phone. Your phone's always working.
That would be great. And it's not, you can find us on our website, floridaweatherauthority.com. All of our socials are there, but our forecasts are just on YouTube. So you do want to, I know not everybody does YouTube. You see all these boxes and it's overwhelming and confusing. But if you go on YouTube and search for us, if you subscribe, the important thing is to subscribe to the channel underneath the channel. Find that button and hit subscribe. And you have to have a YouTube account to do that. If you do that, then you'll actually be able to get the notifications and you'll find us a little easier.
You need to do that. You need to do that now. Here's something real quick I wanted to ask. Talking about severe weather. As weather guys, men.
Yeah.
Boys. He's not saying boys. No weather boys.
Weather boy.
Whenever there's severe weather, we took the jacket off and we rolled the sleeves up, right?
Yeah.
What do women like? What do you like? How do I know if it's really severe weather?
That's
Did
the
you ever
double
have a hook?
challenge, right?
Chewing
No,
tobacco.
I didn't have a hook.
Oh, Amy's got some snuff in her mouth right now. Must be bad
It's
weather.
serious.
All right.
I got serious.
Yeah.
No.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
that's the thing. That's another challenge because women don't have that. So now we have to work extra hard to make sure people know we're
I
serious.
never thought about that until right now. I was like, women
Put
had
your hair
it
up in a
bad.
ponytail or something. You're like,
That's
oh,
a good, yeah.
she's serious now. It's real.
Hold on, you guys.
Everybody,
Amy's got her hair
cover.
out in Utah. I can't Mark Eubanks, I think. His name.
yeah.
And whenever there was snow, he'd wear a white suit. And like
So he blended in
so
with
you
the
would know.
graphics.
Oh, it's going to be snow coming. I thought
Yeah.
that was kind of a cool little hook. His son, I think, does weather now as well. I interrupted you. You were about to ask.
I
a
wanted
question.
to see if she was willing to play a game. I know you
Yes!
like to not give your opinions, but we're opinionish. We're going to force you.
I'm
to
also not a lot of fun, so
show your
good luck.
hand. But we have some scenarios. It's called Reinvention or Midlife Crisis.
Reinvention or midlife crisis? Let's play.
So we're going to throw some scenarios at you. You let us know. Since you're a reinvention expert,
Is this about me?
this is in general.
All together. You'll get it once we come. We'll
Okay.
give you a situation. You tell us, is this reinvention or
midlife
just a
crisis?
midlife
Yeah.
crisis?
So let's say you're 49 and you buy a Corvette. Reinvention or midlife crisis?
Midlife crisis.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
Because-
that wasn't so painful.
300,000 miles on her car.
I
right?
know,
So-
I know.
All right, you're 55 and you tell everybody, I'm moving to Costa Rica.
Ooh, reinvention.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You
Could be.
A new climate.
Climate and people are. There's a lot of Americans moving down there because
Yeah.
there's the health. Because it just
Really?
you're more healthier down there, and you can get
Better microphones.
Viagra for your microphone. All right, what's our next one? All right,
Okay, you quit accounting to become a yoga instructor.
Reinvention.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that's commitment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And hopefully, if you're a good accountant,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be making this much money.
Hopefully you've saved enough to do
Yes.
that
Well,
up to that
flexibility.
point.
That would be a good accountant, exactly. All right, you decide you're starting a rock band, even though you've never played an instrument in your life.
Okay, that's going to be midlife crisis. However, if you say I start taking guitar lessons,
Yeah, you gotta
even
think
though
about
I've
that.
never played,
how you
now
frame
You're
it.
like,
that's
wait.
Hold on, smoke
I
on
got
the water.
it. Wait.
Bow,
Yeah.
bow. Hold on, wait a minute. Bow. Hold on, wait.
Here
Hold
it
on.
is.
Wait.
You haven't exercised in 20 years, and suddenly you announce you're training for an Ironman.
Reinvention.
Yeah?
That is reinvention. Isn't it?
Yeah,
Couch
I
to,
think
like,
so. Because
marathon?
same thing as the one before. Then you got to start small though. First,
Yeah.
you just walk to the mailbox and back.
Okay.
And then around the block. But so you got to
Yeah.
start small. But I think that's everybody's got to get healthy.
You really
As we
believe in this
age.
guy.
Who is it?
I don't know. It's just Iron Man.
All right, your husband comes home with a motorcycle.
Death to husband.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's more than a crisis.
that's not a yeah.
Crisis
Liza
for
made
him.
me sell mine. Can I tell you a quick story about
Yeah.
mine? Is I got one and I got it on New Year's Day, and I thought, and I had to be back on television in Oklahoma City. We were on our Christmas vacation. I was on my vacation, and I bought it here in Florida, and I said, well, I'll just be fun. I'll drive a motorcycle all the way back to
wow.
to Oklahoma.
ride over
Right?
here.
This is a true story. And probably about an hour into it, I realized I've made a terrible mistake.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, it starts raining. Right?
Oh, right.
It's raining January 1st. I'm going all the way through it. I am literally shaking. I'm like
Freezing.
this. I finally, my mindset was, I don't know what's going on in my mind. I better get a hotel. I get in a hotel room.
Yeah.
I sit down and I'm shaking. My phone, I had told my sister to track me because I had it hooked up, got wet, and it was somewhere in Louisiana.
Oh,
It just
no.
stopped. She thought I was dead on the side of the road. I get to a hotel. I log in. Jim Cantori is in Oklahoma City telling everybody, stay off the
my
roads.
God.
It was an ice storm.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah.
Oh no!
I go, I made a terrible
You
mistake.
didn't check the weather, Mitch? Weather boy?
No, this was my midlife crisis.
I was gonna say, how old were you when
Yes.
this
I
happened?
was that happened before I went back to. I was 50. I was 51.
yeah.
I was
Absolutely.
51, and then luckily Ron Corning lived in Dallas. I said, Ron,
Save me.
help me. Well, I didn't. My phone was dead. Couldn't contact anybody. I didn't even know the TV station's phone number because it's all programmed, right? And
Right.
they go, and so I told my sister, "It's like, look, go online, call them, and tell them." I sent them an email rather saying,
Yeah.
because it was over the weekend when I had left. And finally, I tell my co-host, so they get on there and they go, Mitch is missing.
We don't know where he is.
Where in
Yeah.
the world is...
And I thought it was, I'm going to reinvent myself. That
Yeah.
was my midlife crisis.
Well, I should mention that Tom Sorrells, who is one of
Yes.
my
He's got a
cohorts
vibe.
at Florida Weather Authority, yes, he is a motorcycle.
He's a hog.
He and I were supposed to go out
Rider.
riding one time, and I go, I got my wife. Let me get rid of my motorcycle.
Yeah,
All right,
he
so
loves
that-
it.
that
Yeah,
is-
he
yeah,
loves
I do. It's
That's
great to
great.
see him do it. I love that he gets to spend time with his daughters too.
Yeah.
He's really excited about that. All right, go ahead, Dare.
You get your first tattoo long after your kids have gotten theirs.
That's probably a midlife crisis. I'm not sure you reinvent yourself with a tattoo, but you could be I don't think that's a bad thing. I
It's a
always
way to
think of
bond
it-
with your kids if they're tatted up.
Yeah.
I considered that with Sawyer, but I was like
Matching tattoos. I would do it.
I could do a love dot because
Yeah.
after that, right when
Oh,
the needle.
because it'd be too-
Oh, just like a mole.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a tattoo. That's an actual mole.
I would say, look, I got
That
a
one I
tattoo.
need to get checked out.
I would leave it that way. Okay, you quit a television career during a global pandemic.
Reinvention.
Yeah. I love
These are
that.
just scenarios. These are not specific.
all together.
I had to think about it for a
don't think
minute.
about that. If you would say, I had alluded to this before, and you had a conversation with that girl that went to the Chicago television station, and you sat down, and would you tell her you're not going to be in TV forever? Would you feel that would discourage her?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe at that time, because at that time when you're 20 years old, like that was my whole goal. And all those no's I was told for 2 years didn't even stop me.
Yeah,
I continued because I just knew. In fact, I had a coworker once in those 2 years ask me, well, what are you going to do if you never get a job in TV? And it just sort of like took me aback. Because I'm like, well, what do you mean? Of course I'm going to get a job in TV. I was so either probably naive, thinking that, I'd been told, I'd no letters stacked this high. And then there was that many more that didn't even send me the rejection letters that, I just assumed I would get the job.
Try being a jackass
stupid.
on TV
Yeah, right.
and the fat weather guy, and then going to try to get a new agent. And I remember this lady that she goes, I kept calling, and finally I got a hold of them. And they go, there's no way we would represent you. I mean, and you need that blunt.
Yes, I had that. Yeah.
There's like you act like a jackass. I mean, she didn't say that, but she was alluding to the fact that like you're a personality, and a lot of times that got overshadowed about because I went to school as well, but
Right.
I was like, man, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask. I know it's not about you, but it's a personal question. Were you ever told to reinvent yourself? Because you did go through a major reinvention. You lost a lot of weight.
No.
Was that ever a mandate, or did they like that, Mitch? Or maybe
You talking about-
afterwards, after you lost the weight, did you ever get like complaints or like, hey, where's the old Mitch?
I would get no. It was always accepted. You could be a fat weather guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if that held me back. I wanted to lose weight. Working in radio and TV, if there was a promotion like Jenny Craig, well, let's get Mitch.
Yeah.
He'll do it. Like they always wanted to do that, and it turned me off. But no, that's a good question. No one had ever done that. Said that.
Right.
because I was doing fine the way I was,
Yeah.
and so, hey, they like.
But men are allowed that, luxury of being authentically themselves, being ugly, being old, being wrinkled
Right.
and gray, overweight.
When you see somebody on TV that's overweight and happy, you just think automatically they're jolly.
They're fun,
and they're going to put me in a good mood.
Give me presents at Christmas.
And I'll tell you what I did have to do after I left the Buzz. I became executive producer at Good Morning San Diego, and that was I tell you, Amy, that was my starting over because I had to deal with Mitch English's.
Yeah.
And honest guy, and I to the point where I made phone calls to old executive producers,
Yeah.
and I did. I go, I'm really sorry how I acted. I go.
Because now I get it.
Now I get you, Dad.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Hopefully they had that moment with me, man. Yeah, and but I did have to start over about story selection, and it helped me. Obviously, I didn't. Now I'm able to be an executive producer as well as on air. So I mean, it forced me to do that, and they saw that I was creative. And they wanted a different way of presenting the news out there, and I only did that. I realized I needed that because I needed to realize I need to do this. This is what I like to do.
Right.
And I don't think I felt, because I wanted to do the news route. And so I wound up in Oklahoma
But it gets
City.
another feather in your hat, another skill that you acquired.
Right.
Not a failure.
I'm making this whole show
That's
about
your.
me.
And I actually think about that too.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
Amy, don't interrupt me. Anyway.
It's all
Enough
you, I
about
know.
me. What do you think about me?
Now I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, we do
No.
that a lot.
I was going to say that I think, I decided I didn't want to do news because I hated it and I switched to weather.
Yeah.
But all of those things I learned doing news were really beneficial now in my reinvention because now so many of my jobs are writing and interviewing and doing more newsy type things, and it's not just weather. So I do think even though I pivoted, popped that P.
Sure, okay.
Even though I pivoted, those lessons learned again reapply to lots of different areas.
We're going to do a real quick fun game here, the Reinvention draft, and you'll be our expert here. We're going to give you a fictional character. You tell us their brand new career, okay? You would know these characters for what they were, and then you'd say, first thing you would think they would need to reinvent themselves with. Understood?
They would do instead.
Yeah, instead. All right, we'll give you the scenario. First one
Okay.
is George Costanza from Seinfeld. Kruger in Industrial Smoothing finally closes down. What does he do next?
Marine biologist.
Marine.
This is a dream.
I mean, that was
She's
easy.
a fan. I love it. Look at that.
By the way, I'm loving this.
Extra sunny. Look at the glow.
This thing that you created, I assume on AI, because I never look better. That is not my picture.
Yeah,
My eyelashes were never that long, but that looks amazing.
Speaking
so,
of, you
thank
chose that outfit.
ChatGPT.
Did you get clawed by a wild animal? What happened there?
That's funny. No, that is actually the style of the dress.
That is the dress, okay.
And, yeah, and the funny thing is, every woman in TV had the same dresses because there was only a few like Calvin Klein,
You're
and
right.
the dresses that were approved by the client the consultants.
Consultants.
And they all had to be solid colors and pencil dresses, and so you ended up wearing the same things a lot.
Wow. Let's jump back into the game, I guess.
Oh, sorry. I distracted
That
you.
was
by
me.
the-
That was me.
Okay,
Ron
Costanza.
Burgundy. They didn't renew his contract. What next? What's he gonna do? What's Ron Burgundy's reinvention?
Car salesman.
Oh, yeah, that would
He
be
would be
great.
really good at one.
He's got the suit already.
There's a lot of TV people that do go into car sales. You ever
Yes.
notice?
Yeah.
You're right. I think you were probably thinking of something like that.
I'd buy a car from Ron Burgundy. Probably like a Cutlass.
It would be
or Buick
rich,
Skylark.
Rich Corinthian leather. Miranda Priestley. She's from that's Meryl Streep's character in Devil Wears Prada. Fashion finally disappears. What's her second act?
She needs to go back and be a brand new journalist at a magazine.
So
Yeah.
Just like those people she was so mean to
Very
in the movie.
nice, yes.
I
Right?
see her on the Shark Tank panelist or some one of those. She's like really fierce.
Oh,
Something like that.
I'd get her to a hairdresser first.
Yeah, you're right. She could probably be a really good hairdresser. We all got opinions. What about Barbie? She's done everything. She's been everything. What's career number 4,782 for Barbie?
I know. What hasn't she done?
I don't know. Maybe
I'm
something
not
hasn't
sure.
been invented yet.
Podcast.
Podcasting.
A
Is Barbie on
podcaster. I
podcast?
feel like there's got to be a Barbie podcaster.
Well, podcast is scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
All right. James Bond, MI6. Listen, they tell him you aged out, and he's got to take care of all those venereal diseases. What's next for him?
Bartender.
Oh man,
He would be a great. Oh
Shaken,
yeah.
not stirred.
Yes.
Shaken, not stirred.
Did you send these to her beforehand?
No, but I'm so nervous that I'm not going to be able to come up with something.
These are
That
great.
really
so
well.
as he's
Great.
reading, my brain is like,
People are going to call you now and
Okay,
say,
I'm going to
"Hey,
try and
what
get
can I
you with
do?"
this one. Batman, Gotham City becomes completely crime-free. He's a billionaire with severe childhood trauma and no hobbies. What is Bruce Wayne doing next?
doesn't matter which Batman it is.
Oh yeah,
Which actor played him?
Pick a Batman.
Pick your Batman.
I need a vision of which one it is.
We got Bale, Kilmer. We got
Clooney.
Affleck, Clooney,
Oh, Clooney.
And
Keaton.
West
and West.
Yeah.
Pattinson also.
and Pattinson. That's right.
Jeez, you guys know all the
I know all the
Batmans.
Batman.
Yes,
The
we're
Batman, you are. I love Batman, but what would he do after
it's
he lost?
Pattinson-
He lost all his money.
No, Gotham City's crime-free
There's
now.
no crime
So there's
in
no
Gotham.
need for Batman.
Oh,
He's going to hang up the cape and the cowl.
he's a gigolo.
He's a gigolo. Yeah, he's still wearing the costume.
I would say he needs to be like Elon Musk and just start making the Batmobiles, start selling
Yeah, I
those.
know. He's a billionaire.
Oh, there
All
you
right.
go.
All right, this one I wonder if you'll get. Character on television, Amy Sweezey. What does she do? There's no weather, no speaking, no podcasting, no writing. Tomorrow you have to reinvent yourself.
Oh, I can't do any of those things that I love.
Knitting.
We got her.
You did. I was gonna say I'll be a mom, but I'm just about to be an empty nester. So can I still be a mom? If
You're
I'm an
always
empty
a
nester?
mom.
Yeah, once you get that title, yeah, you're.
Will you be our mom?
I love being
Please,
a mom.
Mom.
I'm waiting for the day where they tell me that I was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
can't
is.
wait.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, Amy, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I would hope you would come back, and I want you to tell Sorrels why didn't they put you in the middle?
Oh, there's a whole story behind that. My husband is like, why is he in the middle?
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, why is he in the middle? I don't know. I think I might have to put myself, because I'm the token chick, right?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
should be in
Right,
the
yeah.
middle.
Symmetrically, it makes sense to me. I like that.
The true story is Rob Iker was in charge, and we were all kind of throwing it into Chat GPT and all of the, because
Yeah.
after when you don't pay for AI, you only have so many tries,
Right.
And then it keeps screwing up spelling my name, and it keeps screwing things up, and
yeah.
so I run out of tries. So then somebody else takes it and puts it into Claude or puts it into Gemini. We're trying all these things. So finally, Rob was like, I could do that in Photoshop, and we're like, oh, right. Why didn't we think of like old
It's a
school?
skill
It's a
that we
skill
can
that
have.
you learn.
That's what I did at the Daily Buzz, but it's like, yeah, it's.
It exists.
He made all the graphics up.
I
at
did all the
Buzz.
graphics on air stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should. Yes, maybe you would have put me in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes more sense.
So where can we find you online, Amy?
I'm everywhere, but mostly AmySweezey.com is the best way to find
with
me.
an EY. Speaking of
Yep.
spelling,
Yes.
you're misspelling your
Please
name.
make sure you spell it correctly with 3 E's, AmySweezey.com. All my socials are there. I have a blog post. It talks about my speaking business, my books. I don't have a page for Florida Weather Authority connected there yet, but I need to do that, which is making me think of that
Your
right now.
YouTube page, though. I mean,
Yes.
we'll put the links to the YouTube page so
Thank you.
people can
Yes,
search.
AmySweezey.com or Amy Sweezey on YouTube as well, and then FloridaWeatherAuthority.com is our new venture.
The books, the names, and where they can get them.
The books you can find AmySweezey.com. It Never Ever Snows in Florida is on Amazon, but it is linked to my website as well. So if you go to the website, you'll find it. Let's Talk Weather was a different publisher, so you need to buy that through AmySweezey.com.
All right. And also, your TEDx talk is available online as well. You can watch that on your website.
Yes, I have that linked to my YouTube, and then TEDx, though, owns it. It's on their page.
Your favorite Pure Prairie League song.
Amy.
What you wanna do? Let's harmonize. Oh, I
Dang,
think
you're a little bit too low.
I'll be with you for a while, maybe longer if I do. Longer if I do.
I'm the conductor.
Love it. We gotta
Very
pay.
nice.
We're
I'm
gonna
not gonna
pay
sing.
for that.
Thanks, Amy.
I
Way to
love
go.
it.
Sorry,
Yeah,
you can't get
that's
your
right.
shoes
There's our
now.
budget.
You can't get your shoes for your flat
Longer than
feet.
3
For my
seconds.
socks.
We have to pay Vince Gill and Pure Prairie League now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have all these
Thank
links
you.
here. And thank you for tuning in. We have new episodes happening every Wednesday. Amy has promised she's coming back. And I'm putting this down on paper so that
I'll be
Popping them
back.
peas.
popping those
Popping my
peas
peas.
with her hands and everything. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. I got one.
I got one.
You got one?
I got one.
Your opinions. This has been Opinionish.